Welcome to the channel, or welcome back to the channel. My name is Rachel Kennedy and you are watching Living the Denver Boulder Lifestyle. Today I'm going to be taking you on a driving tour of the Highlands neighborhood. The Highlands neighborhood is made up of four different subsets or four different quadrants within the neighborhood: Low-High, Sunnyside, Berkeley, and Highland Square. And today I'm going to be taking you through Low-High and Sunnyside. So this is going to be part one of two of our driving tour through the Highlands. So make sure to follow up and watch part two when that comes out. I'd like to remind you that I am a licensed broker here in the state of Colorado. So as much as I love putting this content together for you, I would love even more to help you with those real estate needs. So please feel free to hit me up on that number or that email that is popping up on your screen below. Even if you're just starting to think about a move out here, I'd love to connect and kind of give you an inside scoop and hear about what's important to you so I can help direct you in the right spot. All right, let's get started on that tour. All right, so before we get started, I would love if you would hit that subscribe and that notification button that is popping up on your screen below so that you get notified every time I put new videos out, which is every Thursday afternoon. All right, so a little bit about the Highlands before we dive in here and hit the road. The Highlands is located just to the west of downtown Denver and is separated by our north-south interstate, I-25, which runs through our city. So the Highlands neighborhood, again, is comprised of those four different quadrants: Low-High, Sunnyside, Berkeley, and Highland Square. The Highlands hasn't always been the hot spot that it is today. It really started getting gentrified about 20 years ago. And up until then, it was referred to as North Denver. And when it was called North Denver, it was a really, really sketchy part of the city. You did not come up to North Denver if you didn't live here or work here, and you expected to have your car broken into. You're probably going to see a couple drug deals, but today the Highlands looks nothing like it did 20 years ago. So I'm really excited to show you what Low-High looks like today. We're going to see a combination of both original homes, which were built in the turn of the century, some really, really cool Queen Anne Victorians, really cute little bungalows, with a mixture of new build development, which looks like what we call tall and skinny, or side-by-side duplexes that are usually 3 stories high with a rooftop deck. Those have great views of the city. In Low-High specifically, we'll also see a lot of condo buildings that were developed either as rental units. Some of them are owned by individual owners. So lots of different housing options here in Low-High. And then once we go up to Sunnyside, you'll see a definitive difference, because in Sunnyside, we don't have any condo living at all. It's all mainly original housing, bungalows, some Victorians, and the vibe is very different. So I'm really excited to show you that. All right, so I think we're ready to hit the road. On Central Street, which runs parallel to I-25. So we're kind of at the very base of Low-High. This is kind of the first border that you'll hit if you're coming into Low-High out of downtown. So Central has a ton of restaurants, businesses, and a lot of condo buildings that sit right along Central. It has all of these condos have great views of the city, and then of course great walkability. The pedestrian bridge that connects Low-High and downtown Denver is right in front of us. And other than that pedestrian bridge, there's only 2 other streets that connect downtown Denver and Low-High. Those streets are 15th Street and 20th Ave. So as you can see, Low-High is always bustling with residents, tourists. It's a great area to be close to the city, but not be in the city and in all the busyness that the city entails. So I'm going to take you through all of the kind of like main street areas of Low-High first, and then we're going to pop into some side streets, and so you can see the type of housing that exists here in Low-High. I think you'll find it pretty cool. It's a pretty cool vibe for sure. The people that live in Lohi are typically those young professionals that need or want access to downtown, but don't necessarily want to live within the city itself. So all of this is new development within the last 5 years, all these condo buildings. And the condo buildings that we'll see are going to be a mixture of rental units as well as resident-owned units. So I don't know if you can tell, but we are on a hill. Lohi is called Lower Highlands because the Highlands sits up on a hill, and Lohi is kind of situated on the downhill. So Postino is one of Denver's hotspots. They have several locations. It's a great tapas and wine bar. I love going there for lunch. And then this building here on the right-hand side, super inconspicuous, but this is called Williams and Graham. It is one of Denver's first trendy speakeasies that opened. It's a cool little spot. You walk in and it looks like a bookstore. And I think when I went there, you had to say a secret code. And then if you said the right code, maybe you had to ask for a specific book or something. And they would open up one of the bookcases and then you walk through the bookcase and the bar is back there. It was pretty cool. So now we're driving north on Tejon, and Tejon runs north and south, obviously. And Tejon will be our connector to the Sunnyside sector, but I don't want to take you up there quite yet. I want to keep showing you around Lohi. So another really cute little spot with restaurants. So you can see that the restaurants and the shops are mixed in with the residential units. Lohi has the best walkability probably of any other restaurant. Lohi has the best walkability of any other neighborhood in Denver. The parking in Lohi can kind of be a little bit of a bear. I don't know if you can tell, but lots of street parking. Some of the properties don't have garages or driveways, so the street parking can get taken up pretty quickly. Now I'm on Zunai, and Zunai also has a few little shops and restaurants. And now I'm going to turn right onto 32nd, and 32nd is also one of the main little hubs. Lots of cool houses on 32nd. So these houses here on the right-hand side, we call them Denver Squares. They're bungalow based, but then they have a full story on top of them. So those tend to be some of the biggest properties, some older properties. As compared to Victorians, which typically have a full story on the bottom, but then a half story on top. So right now I'm just driving down some side streets because I want you guys to get a feel for what the vibe is here in Lohi. So Denver has some pretty strict rules on their short-term rental licensing. You have to have a license. It has to be inspected by the city in order to get the license, and you also have to have the property that you're short-term renting be your primary residence. So that has really cut down a lot on a lot of what would be short-term rentals, and Lohi would, if the rules were different, Lohi would be full of short-term rentals because it is such a great neighborhood for walkability. You're super close to downtown. You're super close to all of the sporting venues that we have here in town. So now I'm turning right, or I'm going south on Tejon. So right now I'm faced, if I were to drive straight, I would drive right into downtown Denver. housing in Lohi is probably some of the most expensive in the city that has the demographic of those young professionals. So housing prices here, median housing price is going to be right around that $750,000, $800,000 mark. In order to step into a new build single family, you're going to be in the 1.2 up to a $2 million purchase price. Condos, you'll probably start at about a $350,000 purchase price for a 1-bedroom, 1-bath condo. So this little corner has Linger, Little Man Ice Cream, and then another little block of restaurants here. But this is a great little spot. On the weekend evenings, even on the weeknights, that the line for Little Man Ice Cream wraps around the block. All right, so now we are turning right or north on Tejon. So Tejon is the main street that's going to take us from Lohi into Sunnyside. So right now we're headed north on Tejon towards the Sunnyside neighborhood. So the city of Denver is right behind us, or downtown Denver is right behind us. This spot here, Lechuga's, on the left-hand side, is one of Denver's oldest Italian restaurants. So if you're looking for legit Italian, definitely stop into Lechuga's. There's also on this next corner up here a spot called Gaetano's, and Gaetano's is also one of Denver's oldest Italian spots. It used to be a mob hangout restaurant, so that's its kind of claim to fame. So this street here, 38th Ave, is a main thoroughfare through the Highlands. It's not, a cute little main street. It is the main drag that's going to have your 7-Elevens, your gas stations, your hardware stores, grocery stores, that kind of thing. So it's not a hangout spot, but it needs to exist. So now we are officially in the Sunnyside neighborhood. You can see there's a definitive difference between the vibe of Lohi and the vibe in Sunnyside. Not near as much foot traffic, not near as much car traffic. This corner here is one of Sunnyside's only commercial areas. So we have a massage spot, we have a coffee shop. This spot here with the orange awning is a sushi restaurant. So Sunnyside has definitely less walkability than Lohi does, but there are still some spots for sure. The trade-off is less walkability, but you also have less foot traffic within your neighborhood. And as I mentioned, Sunnyside was developed a little bit later than Lohi, so we don't see quite as many Victorians. We have more older bungalows, brick bungalows up in Sunnyside. Not near as much new development. So as we're driving through, you'll definitely be able to tell there's a sprinkle of new development, those scrape new build, modern new builds. But for the most part, I would say original housing definitely outweighs the new build development. So right now we're turning left onto 44th Avenue. 44th Avenue is what we call a double yellow, or one of the heavier traveled streets through Sunnyside. We also have some commercial along 44th Avenue. So these are just some office spaces. Radiator is a coffee shop. They also serve alcohol and some food in there. It's a great hangout spot. And then as we go further down 44th Ave, I'll point out a couple other kind of popular spots. You can see 44th Ave, main drag. It's definitely not near as bad as living on 38th Avenue. You don't have, 4 lanes of traffic. You only have 1 lane going each way. So definitely not near as heavy traffic as 38th Avenue. I would consider living on 44th Avenue, definitely over 38th. I would not live on 38th Avenue. It's way too busy. But 44th Ave I would consider. So I'm going to take you down 44th Avenue. I'm going to flip around so that you can see the other side of 44th Ave, and then I'm going to take you down some side streets in Sunnyside so that you can kind of get a feel for the vibe that exists here. So this block of commercial space, we have a Mexican restaurant, we have Bacon Social House, we have a cheese shop. This is a great corner for brunch on Saturdays and Sundays mornings. The corner's super busy. And then this light that we're at is Zunai. And if you remember when we were down in Lohi, we were also on Zunai. So Zunai and Tejon run north and south from Lohi into Sunnyside. And then we have 38th Ave, which kind of splits Lohi and Sunnyside. When you cross over 38th Ave from Lohi, you enter into Sunnyside. And then 44th Ave is kind of a main thoroughfare through Sunnyside. So if you're considering moving into the Highlands, it would definitely behoove you to get familiar with the different streets and kind of the borders of what streets separate what little quadrants of the neighborhoods. So I'm going to turn down some side streets so that you can get a feel for the housing here in Sunnyside and just overall the vibe. So in Sunnyside, we tend to see less of that young professional demographic and more of a young family. The people that want, you know, a decent sized yard, but still want to have walkability and access to the city. I personally really like Sunnyside. And housing prices up here, you'll definitely get a little bit of a discount from Lohi into Sunnyside. So where a new build in Lohi would go anywhere from 1.1 up to the $2 million price point, a new build single family property in Sunnyside is probably going to start around that $1 million price point and up to like a 1.2. And then a brick bungalow with decent updates is going to go for anywhere from $750 up to $1 million. For reference, my husband and I fix and flip properties, and we currently have a project here in Sunnyside. It's a 1,600 square foot house, single family brick ranch with 3 bedrooms and 2 bathrooms. And when we're done with our remodel, we'll be listing it at $850,000. All right, so that concludes our tour of the Sunnyside and the Lohi neighborhood. Just a reminder that this is part 1 of 2 of my Highlands driving tour. So make sure to catch part 2 when that comes out. I will be driving through Berkeley and the Highland Square areas. Overall, Lohi and Sunnyside both are very charming. They both have 2 very different vibes. So Lohi has that young professional, you know, wants to be in the thralls of the city but not necessarily live downtown. Whereas Sunnyside is a little bit quieter, bigger yards, slightly newer houses, and just overall kind of a more chill vibe, I would say, up in Sunnyside. So I hope this was helpful, and I'll see you next time.